Well, if you're sick and tired of the constant doom and gloom, जैसे कि सब रो रहे हैं कि how AI is going to steal your job and ruin the economy, you're not alone. सब यही बात कर रहे हैं. But Mark Cuban had a very refreshing take on it. He's looking at the 33 million small and medium businesses जो US में है, and his message is clear. देखो, traditional software आज नहीं तो कल मरने ही वाला है. So skip big tech and go small. It's about taking AI agents and implementing them to fix boring traditional small businesses that don't have the budget for massive IT departments. We'll be unpacking this and a lot more. This is the Baaps of Crypto podcast. I have Narkundi, Crypto Daddy, and Realist with me. Let's go. My tongue is twisting. I have
It's from all the conversation you've been having throughout the day, bro.
yes, I know. Like on multiple levels and different topics. I was telling Crypto Addict is the amount of different conversation I've been having with different kind of people. Like it's insane. ये सब पूरा वर्ल्ड व्यू जैसे कि हम बात कर रहे थे कि हम लोग के देश में बिहार में भी अगर आप जाओ तो गांव में उसको पता है कि एप्स्टीन फाइल्स में क्या हो रहा है पर यूएस में किसी को कुछ नहीं
कुछ नहीं
पता
हो
कि
रहा है.
यूएस के बाहर कुछ नहीं उनके स्टेट के बाहर क्या हो रहा
They are oblivious to what's happening outside the world.
है.
तभी तभी तो वो ऐसी मूवियां बनाते हैं, where the person is stuck, दुनिया खत्म हो गई, एक बंदा है, फिर दूर दराज से कहीं उसको नजर आता है, अरे कहीं और भी कोई जिंदा है. बिकॉज बाहर क्या हो रहा है पता ही नहीं है.
या बट या कल भी हम यही डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि देयर सो मच ऑफ अ डूम एंड ग्लूम इन ऑल ऑफ एनी टॉपिक दैट यू डिस्कस लोग हर चीज में सिर्फ डूम एंड ग्लूम ही बात कर रहे हैं बट एआई में अभी ये recently obviously Mark Cuban आया and he I don't know if you guys saw that podcast TPNB जो
हम्म,
उनका podcast उस पे he gave like some very sort of refreshing facts on AI and एक तो उसने बहुत सही चीज बोली है I don't know if you guys agree with it कि जो ads चलाने वाला है उसमें जो obviously chat GPT has come कि ads चलाएंगे that can sort of
हम्म,
become like a dangerous situation बिकॉज एज लॉन्ग एज कि वो साइड में बस एक लबूबू का एड दिखा रहा है तो वो तो ठीक है बट जहाँ वो क्वेरी में करने लगे हैं जैसे लाइक योर जैनक्स प्रमोट करता है तू लाइक तू कोई फार्मा कंपनी है एंड जैनक्स तेरा प्रोडक्ट है एंड योर पेइंग चैट जीपीटी और समवन टू प्रमोट जैनक्स जहाँ वो क्वेरी में डालने लगेगा और उसको पुश करने लगेगा विद इन रिस्पॉन्सेज तो फिर हो सकता है कि यू माइट हैव लाइक अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन बिकॉज यूएस में क्या हो गया है कि अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर जस्ट लाइक टॉकिंग टू एआई लाइक इट्स देयर फ्रेंड राइट कि उनके पास और कोई बात करने के लिए नहीं है या उनके पास कोई कंसल्ट करने के लिए नहीं है वो अपने ये भी डाल देते हैं क्या बोलते हैं मेडिकल रिपोर्ट्स भी डाल देते हैं उसमें कि यार मुझे क्या हो रहा है बता दो
हम्म.
तो ऐसी सब चीजों में जब वो एड्स वाला सीन हो जाएगा तो दैट कैन बी डेंजरस आई डोंट नो व्हाट डू यू गाइस थिंक
सब में आएगा
Yeah,
एड्स.
to be honest, I think so. So one more, if you think of it from ads perspective, I don't know अगर तुमको वो बात याद है कि I think about 8 to 10 years ago when this Google ads, Facebook Meta ads वगैरह जब चल रहे थे, there was a case that came जिसमें there was this guy जिसकी basically after certain period of time उसको जो है वो gay cruise के ads आना शुरू हो गए थे, right? And basically, and he wasn't even outside the closet as yet, right? So he didn't even know he was he was gay. Eventually, he was getting those ads, and then later on, he found out that he was gay. So he got out of the closet and then gay. The fact that Google and Meta knew that he was
Yeah.
gay before was surprising. So what they were doing was basically analyzing his watch history, his search history, what places he's going to, what he's eating, what he's wearing, his color combinations. They were analyzing everything that he does, right? And based on that, they were assigning ads to him. So, जो हम AI से डर रहे हैं, that has happened before. What we are not even contemplating what AI can do in the future. वो तो हमारी सोच में भी नहीं है कि वो कितना dangerous हो सकता है. When it comes to what ads are going to be or how it's going to promote, it's going to be absolutely devastating in the future. We have to be very careful.
गॉट इट So, obviously, what he said was one of the other things that he said, which is what discussion we're having today, is the SaaS model, right? The software as a service wala jo pura
Yeah.
model hai, that is sort of dying out, and the next generation jo aa rahi hai, what they will have to focus on is to get small businesses to implement AI in their sort of operations, and they will customize AI for these businesses. And wait, so there was like a very lively sort of discussion, and I obviously agree with it. तुम लोग क्या, let's realist. We'll take your take. What do you think about, uh, the next generation of AI and people obviously not losing business, instead of losing business, gaining something new for the new generation, right? कि उनके पास एक नया line of work होगा.
So I absolutely agree. I was actually having this conversation with somebody yesterday, and I actually kind of am completely in sync with what Cuban is saying, and I think a lot of people have been saying this for quite some time. It's been in the news for the past couple of months, I would say, that SaaS is dead, right? And SaaS, as we know it, is dead. So there are a couple of entry barriers to SaaS, right? Number one, it doesn't penetrate well into small and medium businesses as much, right? Because यार कोई अपने वही खाते से निकलना नहीं चाहता है बाहर, राइट? तो धंधा चल रहा है, सिंपल एज दैट. यू ओनली नीड इट व्हेन यू हैव टू स्केल. एक किराने की दुकान को स्केल नहीं करना, उसको दो किराने की दुकानें नहीं डालनी, राइट? बट इज a SaaS tool not applicable to his business? I think the answer is yes. He can definitely do wonders with it. But he has his own style of doing things, and the thing with SaaS tools is they build. It's like a one size fits all policy for SaaS companies, right? Especially when you're building enterprise
Mhm.
solutions, whether it's large scale, whether it's small scale, does not matter. But it's a one size fits all policy, and that's the kind of metrics that work in their favor also, right? Because वो यार अब अगर हर के लिए customized development करना शुरू कर देंगे, then they'll have to become a company like the Infosys and the TCSs of the world or Wipros of the world, right? Which are doing all the or stuff like that, right? Or even like SAP for that matter, when they build enterprise solutions, they have a ready reckoner of products, and then they build customized solutions on top of it. So, which is why you need consultants who come and spend 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, and वो फिर तुम्हारी कंपनी को migrate करते हैं अपने systems में, because it's not easy to learn those systems, right? Because they're complex, and it kind of compels you to change your process as per their process. It basically creates, and कोई लोग कह सकते हैं इट्स गुड बिकॉज इसी बहाने आपके धंधे में प्रोसेस घुस जाता है, बिकॉज यू सॉर्ट ऑफ अलाइन योरसेल्फ विद अ सेट प्रोसेस व्हिच दे हैव डीम्ड टू बी सक्सेसफुल, एंड देयर इज डेटा शोकेसिंग इट, बिकॉज दे विल प्रोबब्ली से दैट हमने इतने नंबर ऑफ कंपनीज में इंप्लीमेंट करके इतना परसेंटेज ग्रोथ कर दिया अक्रॉस सेल्स, एफिशिएंसी, ऑपरेशंस, व्हाटएवर. But herein lies the problem that because of this one size fits all policy, क्यों ही करना है जब आज के दिन में with AI agents you can actually build customized SaaS solutions, right? जैसे अगर आपके पास एक बिजनेस है, right, और आपको इन्वेंटोरी मैनेजमेंट करना है, मैं एक वन साइज फिट्स ऑल ऑफ द रैक सोल्यूशन क्यों लूंगा जब मैं एक खुद ही वाइब कोड करके यूजिंग एआई में अपने लिए एक SaaS सोल्यूशन बिल्ड कर सकता हूँ, और मेरे को एआई ये भी बता देगा उसको कैसे होस्ट करना है, एंड उसका पूरा होस्टिंग वगैरह भी सब कुछ कर देगा भाई. लाइक इफ यू like plug in your Vercel account or if you plug in your Netlify account, वो तुम्हें सीधा सब कुछ डिप्लॉय करके दे देगा,
Mhm.
बोलेगा ये लो भैया. And I think these days HostGator and all have like different sort of plans which are like these virtual server plans जिसमें you can run your agents and just keep paying a monthly subscription and सब कुछ खुद ही autonomously चल रहा होता है. You don't need a tech team to do it. So that is going to be the future. So this enterprise SaaS, this one size fits all SaaS policy needs to be thrown into the dustbin because it does not work. And it's essentially going to be using AI to build customized. So SaaS as a sector is not done, but yeah, will you not need tools to improve your business? Yes, you will, but that tool is going to be built just for you. Like I have a friend back back at home who manages a business. He has, I think, about 40, 50 sort of areas which he manages, and he does bookings, etc. काफी कुछ करता है उधर. तो he's built a SaaS tool just for himself using Cursor and Claude, right? And so उसने कोई off the rack solution नहीं लिया because उसने बोला है मेरा धंधा एक certain type से चल रहा है, मैं इस धंधे को पिछले 15 साल से चला रहा हूँ. Now I don't want to go and pick an enterprise solution एंड मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ सारे एंटरप्राइज सॉल्यूशंस एक्सपेंसिव हैं, लाइक चीप एंटरप्राइज सॉल्यूशंस भी है जिनके स्टार्टअप प्लान्स होते हैं, प्रो प्लान्स होते हैं, $100 अ मंथ, $500 अ मंथ, व्हाटएवर. यू कैन प्लग इन 10 यूजर्स फ्रॉम योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, वो सब कुछ कर सकते हो. बट वो बोल मैं अपना प्रोसेस किसी और के लिए क्यों चेंज करूं यार, मुझे पता है ना मेरा प्रोसेस चल रहा है, आई जस्ट वांट समथिंग व्हिच इज कस्टमाइज्ड एज पर मी. एंड मैं अगर अपनी किसी टीम को बिठा के करूंगा, एंड वी ऑल नो आप एक डेव हायर करोगे, वो डेव आपको समझने में एक तो 3 महीने लगा देगा, उसके बाद 3 महीने बाद एक ऐसा प्रोडक्ट देगा जो 50% तुम्हारे काम करेगा, देन इज गोइंग टू स्पेंड द नेक्स्ट 2 years in fixing that product, right? It's basically going to be like bandage work for the next 2 years. That's like wastage. And so what he did was he learned to vibe code himself, right? And he took a month's time. He had all the data that he had with him. वो पहले Excel sheet में सब कुछ manage करता था. He then went ahead and built a customized solution for his entire business, right? They, I think, process roughly about across all of these venues that he has, they process roughly about 150 bookings a day. वो सारी चीजें उसके खुद के एक सॉफ्टवेयर के ऊपर चल रही है जो उसने खुद बनाया. So I think software is going to become very, very democratized, and software is not going to be just reserved to a certain few people. आप अपने हिसाब से customized software बनाओ, right? And now saying that, how can I personalize AI? So if आपके पास like if you have data which is constantly running and you want to sort of spin up an agent which can provide you with intelligent insights based on your data, वो भी कर सकते हो. Now coming to your question, how can the next generation sort of lever this? For example, my friend, he is probably our age, he could spin this up by himself. But like Mark Cuban is saying, there are so many small and medium businesses जो ये खुद नहीं कर सकती, right? तो आप जाके उनकी मदद करो, and you can be like a consultant by yourself. जो पहले SAP और Infosys और ये सारे लोग करते थे fancy tie suit में आके आपको, they used to charge you a bomb like and you had to pay sort of tooth and nail just to get simple software built. And to be honest, इनके softwares बहुत basic होता है. I'm pretty sure all of us in some avatar of ours have definitely used or interacted with some of these softwares, right? जैसे काफी HRMS solutions, जो HR management solutions होते हैं, या तो SAP के होते हैं, Oracle के होते हैं. This is really basic software, dude. उसमें कोई rocket science नहीं होता उसमें. It's just layers and layers of code, which is why it seems complex. All of these things AI can spin up in like in 15 minutes, right? तो आज के दिन में, like tomorrow's generation, which is more sort of well versed with using these tools, they should use these tools and help build customized software solutions using AI, because everybody can be a coder, because coding is not going to be about learning how to code, it's going to be more conversational. You need to be very clear about what you want and extract what you need from your agent. But yeah, that is where we are headed, where these guys can actually go and start building customized software. So if I live in a neighborhood and I see there are maybe 15 grocery stores around me, अगर मैं वो 15 grocery stores को ही manage कर दूँ ना, I can build a nice business for myself. And I can build a nice career out of that. I don't even need to step out of my comfort zone, take a flight ticket and go somewhere else. Because there are so many people and there are so many businesses. I think one person catering to 10 neighborhood businesses and just improving their productivity, right? And they'll be able to see that, like, right, and there's no cost to it, right? You could probably just charge a small fee, and maybe a small fee to just maybe show up once a month just to see कि यार भाई सब ठीक चल रहा है कि नहीं. If you need any improvements, मैं तुम्हें सिखा देता हूँ, तुम अपने एजेंट से खुद ही बात करके चीजें इंप्रूव कर सकते हो. हाँ, थोड़ा इसमें क्या होता है, when you are speaking to your agent and the code is getting shipped, थोड़ा आपको समय लगाना पड़ता है उसमें in order to understand, because the agent, like any developer, can make mistakes as well, right? And especially when it comes to hosting the product, right? Building the product is easy, but hosting the product takes a little bit of effort. उसमें थोड़ा जानने की जरूरत है. Entry barriers हो सकते हैं for mom and pop shops. तो उतना ही अगर आप कर दो, I think you can build a damn good business for yourself. So customized software and democratizing consulting. I think that's what SaaS is going to become. Like everyone's going to become a consultant, and you'll have customized solutions for yourselves.
Yeah, even with small things like data analytics, right? कि जो पहले
Absolutely.
big businesses के पास जो लोग हैं काम करने वाले with big salaries and stuff, छोटे कंपनीज ये कर सकते हैं खुद. They can analyze data. अगर कोई पिज्जा शॉप है कि मेरा कौन सा पिज्जा सबसे ज्यादा चलता है, कब चलता है, ये चलता है, and they can do all of that and then grow.
Absolutely. यार मैं तो बता रहा हूँ, एक सिंपल किराने की दुकान में, their main business is managing inventory, right? तुम्हारा इन्वेंटोरी टर्नओवर किस तरीके से हो रहा है, दैट इज द ओनली वे यू कैन नील इट इन दैट बिजनेस. उसमें और कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है, राइट? दैट इज ऑल दैट यू हैव टू नील, इन्वेंटोरी मैनेजमेंट. तो अगर आपने एक सिंपल सोल्यूशन बनाया जहां पे आपने सब लोगों को बता दिया, भैया जो भी आ रहा है उसको अपलोड करो, बारकोड स्कैन करके सॉफ्टवेयर आपका खुद ही चल रहा है, जो आपने खुद ही बना दिया, $100 में पूरा सॉफ्टवेयर बन जाएगा। पहले यहाँ पे $100 में आपको सब्सक्रिप्शन देना पड़ता था सर,
Yeah.
कोई भी SaaS सोल्यूशन यूज करने के लिए। आप बस चढ़ाओ, वो आपको बता देगा भैया कि 2 दिन में आपका इसका स्टॉक खत्म होने वाला है, आज ही ऑर्डर करना। वो ऑर्डर भी प्लेस कर देगा आपके लिए सप्लायर के पास, और वो पहुंच भी जाएगा आपके पास। Simple things which can happen at a small kirana store, a small department store, right? Imagine the kind of effects it can have in a slightly matured business than a department store. And all of
Yeah.
this can be spun up by all the young guys who are sort of exiting college right now, who are worried कि यार मेरी नौकरी को क्या होगा? Because in all honesty, if you're in a white collar job which is happening in front of screen, it's most likely going to get replaced, or it's going to get more efficient, right? You might not be needed as much. So the idea here is, how can you use AI to sort of improve yourself as a worker? And in this case, the young kids, instead of working in companies, they can actually go and create livelihoods for themselves by helping other people on board. जैसे शुरू में एक टाइम पे जब सॉफ्टवेयर शुरू में आया था, आई डोंट नो इफ यू गाइस नो, टैली बोल के एक अकाउंटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर था,
Yeah. Yeah.
राइट? एक इंसान ने टैली का एक अकाउंटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर बनाया,
Mhm.
काफी लोग फिर जाके अपने घर के 10 दुकानों को जाके टैली में ऑनबोर्ड करते थे, वही धंधा वही धंधा दे। वो डरे नहीं, उससे उन्होंने बोला कंप्यूटर आ रहा है तो भैया कंप्यूटर में ऑनबोर्ड करने के मैं लोगों की मदद कर लूंगा। सिमिलरली, AI is not here to replace you. AI is simply here to enter your lives and make your lives better, just how the computer did, and just how the industrial revolution probably did. So that is what's going to happen. This is what the next gen should ideally focus on, not worried about their jobs going away. You can simply enable these mom and pop shops to become AI ready. And there's a beautiful business that can be built out of it. Because they don't know how to use an agent to build
Yeah.
software for themselves.
Yeah. नरकुंडी, मैंने डेटा एनालिटिक्स की बात करी तो तू एकदम से जग गया. So you know, that's Narkundi's favorite topic, you know, data analytics. That's what he spends his days doing. कि क्या चल रहा है. So yeah, what do you see, man? And like, you know, what is like, tell us the total addressable market on this, and how big is this gonna get?
Guys, so data analytics ka, when we say there's so much in just basic data exploration even. How does my data look like? What's the average? What's the, percentiles? What's the median? Even those previously, if you didn't know how to play around with Excel, you had to go through Python, you had to go through that and, go through codes and get that done. So like how you have vibe coding, now you have vibe analytics, which means that your data query will be in natural language and the response you'll get will be in a natural language. So that's the direction that it's already heading in. So especially for SMEs, especially for non analytics power users, like your business users, your casual user who just want an answer. They don't want to know what's happening under the hood and who's speaking to what and how data is connecting. They just need yes, no, or a number. For them especially, these type of things are going to get, I think, even more stronger as you connect more tools. And on the SaaS front, like, because I've looked at so many reporting tools, like it's always a compromise when you're buying into a tool.
Yeah.
There's no single tool which will solve 100% of your needs. If it solves 8 out of 10 needs, when you're doing a vendor evaluation, you have to be realistic and say, this is what I can do, this is what it can't do, but it's much better than, something that solves 5 out of 10 needs. So that had been the go-to or, accepted norm. Now that's changing now, especially for SMEs, especially for starter packs like in project management, whatever software you have, like the $10, $20 per month. For them, like really said that they have their own way of doing things, and especially in US, like where Mark Cuban said, like 33 million SMEs are there. Out of that, 90% are single person enterprises, which means that they don't even have one employee with them. Now, for these people, focusing on tools and adapting their business to a process doesn't make sense. They are focused on number one thing, which is getting more and more customers and increasing and scaling beyond it. So the opportunity that he's saying is that pick any particular industry, which any industry, it has SMEs. Like if you're looking at the screen, like it's fairly consistent across professional services, construction, healthcare. Depending on that industry, you have certain, go-to or accepted things that you can do in terms of data. Like maybe there might be issues with data security, but the point that he's making, that if you can master one industry, be it real estate or something, you automate XYZ. You are looking at single owners who want to focus only on getting more business, then you can make their life easier, and you're solving for something that enterprise grade solutions, even if they wanted to solve, they cannot pivot that quickly. And most SaaS tools, you're seeing like an AI agent on the side, or you're seeing like helpful things, but the foundation itself has been built on rigid structures rather than customized per customer, which these tools are able to do. So his advice does make sense to a certain degree, that pick one industry, focus on it, and solve the problems that exist for SMEs, because they are ignored, they are underserved, and they have been fed traditional SaaS models, which is like one size fits all. Now, valuation side, like even for from a valuation perspective, if you are in service business, if you have an AI layered on top of it, it can definitely help in terms of your earnings multiples, because valuation for these tools, valuation for these offerings is increasing quite rapidly. So that is the core opportunity that people can focus on. Pick one sector, solve its needs, scale it to the second client, because more importantly, things travel through word of mouth. If you do something for someone, there's a good chance that somebody in that industry will notice what you're trying to do.
गॉड एक और चीज में तुम लोग से बोला जाता था कि लाइक आई वांट टू डिस्कस कि तेरे जो तुम्हारे जो फ्रंटियर मॉडल्स हैं जो इतने बड़े बड़े पैसे उठा रहे हैं एंड द बोरोइंग ऑल ऑफ दिस बिग मनी राइट जो अपना कैपेक्स जस्टिफाई करने के लिए इनमें से सब तो सरवाइव नहीं करेंगे यू नो अ फ्यू माइट सर्वाइव so what happens once one of these companies that has borrowed billions and billions of dollars and they just like go bust in a day उस टाइम पे क्या इफेक्ट पड़ेगा लाइक मार्केट्स पे टू बी ऑनेस्ट
Markets पे फर्क पड़ेगा, but it's going to be just to be a blip in the market. It's going to affect the market for a little while, and then market's going to come back up. I mean, market these right now, if you look at the last 2 years, markets have been extremely robust. They've seen so many blips towards the downside, and then they've come back up eventually. I don't think something like this is, unless it's like an absolute cascade of events. के एक company के बाद दूसरी company के बाद तीसरी company. Unless a cascade starts to happen, I don't think we should be worried about that.
गॉट इट क्योंकि तेरी जितनी भी ये मैग 7 कंपनीज हैं ये ऑल ऑफ देम हैव सॉर्ट ऑफ समहाउ पिवटेड टुवर्ड्स एआई अब सबका तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि सबका ही चलने वाला है some of them will have to like either become part of another one or just shut it down completely or just use it for their internal systems. What happens जो इतने पैसे इन्होंने रेज किए हैं, I mean I don't last I was seeing कि they've borrowed almost $610 billion that has
Mhm.
gone into it. That is like cash like wiped out, right? कि पूरा तेरा मार्केट कैप चले गया उतने का क्या होगा मतलब कि it's no end. So what is like gonna happen to the markets? Like I mean हमारे एटलीस्ट हमारे जो एटलीस्ट अपनी इंडस्ट्री में देखते हैं राइट लाइक फॉर क्रिप्टो इतने जो टोकन आए जो एआई एजेंट्स आए ये आए वो आए वो सबके सब जो जा रहे हैं अब तो ऑब्वियसली पूरी मार्केट ही जा रही तेरी ऑल्ट मार्केट तो पूरी बैठ गई मोस्ट ऑफ दीज जो इनिशियली अभी थोड़े दिन पहले तक चल रहे थे ऑल्ट देवर ऑल दीज एआई वंस राइट वो दूसरे वाले तो कब के ही मर गए थे पर वो जब गए तो वो पूरे की पूरी ऑल्ट की मार्केट ही खत्म हो गई तो जस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ दैट व्हाट डू यू गाइस थिंक
Yeah, so if you want to discuss that, you have to understand कि ये जो हम market की बात करें ना कि अगर let's say one of these big companies go bust तो उसका effect market पे किसका पड़ता है? But like Realist said, कि you have a new revolution sort of coming into the world, right? The AI revolution, जैसे industrial revolution थी, computer age था तेरा. Now you have an AI revolution coming into play, right? Yes, you will have certain entities that have taken a massive amount of loan or whatever fundings leak in the market, and some of them could go bust. But you should also understand that because there is a whole AI revolution happening, there are a lot of smaller, medium enterprises that are going to build in revenue as well. That are going to build an additional economy as well, right? So not necessarily कि आप सिर्फ downside ही देखोगे. These जैसे like real estate, ये छोटे किनारा दुकान है और ये आपके grocery stores हैं, they'll be making money as well. And that is what Mark Cuban was actually talking about, right? You have like 33 million SMEs that can actually build revenue using AI. So with a 33 billion, even if it's a single owner entity, right? It's basically generating revenue. It's creating a new form of economy altogether. That is also going to push in. Now, talking about why these old guys are going to get obsolete and why these new guys are going to get make up. There's also one more thing that कि जितने भी पुराने आपके SaaS agents हैं या जो बड़े enterprise solutions हैं, they've been working since the 80s, right? जो computer age, जो Windows था, उस वक्त से वो काम कर रहे हैं, right? And they tapped into the markets उस time पे that were flourishing. So you had the oil and gas industry, you had the high-end retail, you had supermarkets, and you had malls, and you had retail industry. They were basically tapping into these, right? Today you see all of these enterprises, इनका सबसे ज्यादा इनकी इन्वेस्टमेंट या इनका सबसे ज्यादा प्लेटफॉर्म इम्प्लीमेंटेड है वो कौन सी इंडस्ट्रीज में, वो इन्हीं सब में, या तो वो रिटेल में है, या तो वो एफएमसीजी में, या तो वो ऑयल एंड गैस में, या तो वो गवर्नमेंट एंटिटीज में, जो सबसे बड़े वाले एंटरप्राइज हैं. एंड लाइक रियल सेट कि ये लोग जब जाते हैं और बोलते हैं कि यार आपके पास ये हमारे पास सेट प्रोटोकॉल सेट प्रोसेसेस है, आपने अपनी पूरी कंपनी को जो ना इसके बेस पे लेकर आना है. एंड व्हाट दे वर सेइंग वाज कि पिछले 10 साल में हमारा एक्सपीरियंस ये कहता है कि हमारे ये प्रोसेस से तुम्हारा बिजनेस आगे चलेगा. आज अगर कोई SaaS कंसल्टेंट जाता है किसी के पास तो वो ये बोलता है कि यार मैं तुम्हारा रेवेन्यू इधर कर दूंगा, तुम एक काम करो, अपनी ह्यूमन रिसोर्स इतनी रिड्यूस करो, अपनी इन्वेंट्री इतनी बढ़ाओ. वो उनको ये बताते हैं. एंड दिस इज व्हाट आवर प्लेटफॉर्म इज गोना इवेंचुअली डू फॉर यू. In the current state that we are in today, we have businesses that did not exist 5 years ago also, right? We didn't have those businesses. They don't have the data for those sort of businesses. This is where your AI agents are going to sort of excel because they are growing into that sort of business line. In terms of crypto, आज के जमाने में तुम्हारे पास एआई एजेंट्स डेड हो गए, आई अंडरस्टैंड, बट दोस एआई एजेंट्स वो कर क्या रहे थे अगर आप उनको गौर से देखें तो? they were literally doing nothing, right? They were basically posting on Twitter for you, bro. They were creating marketing content, right? It was very minimalistic use of those AI agents. But if you're looking from a different perspective, let's suppose now, अगर जिस तरह हम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को देख रहे हैं बढ़ते हुए, let's suppose, taking ETH as the layer chain that is going to be used across everywhere around, and you have these SME enterprises that are building their protocols and building their softwares or SaaS solutions, and they're running it. They implement AI agents, right? Those AI agents, अभी तो वो बहुत बेसिक काम कर रहे हैं. For example, they're scheduling meetings, they're arranging calls, maybe they're putting a marketing, आप उनको budget assign कर दो, वो कुछ चीजें arrange कर देगा. But the minute you start giving these AI agents access to wallets, right, and you start giving them budgets, proper budgets, they are not going to need your credit card. They're going to use the Ethereum blockchain. They're going to be paying in USDT and USDC. They're going to be trading across between US and China. They're going to be shipped. They're going to be, buying products, shipping them out to US, shipping them out to the customers for you. So eventually, this is what the future is going to look like. You will have one guy who is basically setting these AI agents, probably just managing or dealing with them, and then there'll be like 10 AI agents doing the entire business model for you, right? And like Alice said, you have to be that one guy. You have to be that educated in that industry कि आप वो चीज run कर रहे हो eventually at the end of the day. And then the second part comes is it's not just ETH. You also have to understand that these AI agents are going to need a lot of computing power as well, right? So you'll have chains that are going to be like an Airbnb sort of with GPUs, right? So you have like, just to give you an example, so like Render is an absolute ball of a chain like that, right? It gives you that rendering, that GPU power, the computing power. It will give, so you'll have these kind of smaller chains that we're not looking at because आज हम ये बोल रहे हैं कि Ethereum is the main chain, right? But there are a lot of these smaller chains that are going to be working as a support system onto that entire network. So you will have a lot of boom coming onto that as well. So you'll have an entire new market, an entire new economy that is going to be coming up.
Got it. This is going to be a hated question कि ऐसा कोई भी एक ऐसा प्रोटोकॉल है अपने क्रिप्टो स्पेस में इन एआई एजेंट्स दैट इज डूइंग गुड वर्क, या तुम लोग देखते हो कि दिस माइट टर्न आउट टू बी समथिंग?
I don't know if there are any good ones because अगर वो कुछ काम कर रहे हैं, अगर वो इन द बैकग्राउंड कर रहे हैं, देखो हमको पता नहीं है उसके बारे में, राइट? इतना छुप के अगर कर रहे हैं, इतना सीक्रेट होके अगर कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि everything is already happening out in the open when it comes to AI right now, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if these blockchain AI companies are doing anything on that front, but I think it's safe to say, if you were to think logically about it, I don't think there's any semblance of AI in these crypto companies, right? I mean, to push a narrative, you can, but yeah, we've been trying to push that narrative since 2023, right? Nothing's worked.
Yeah.
So had that narrative worked, I think we would have seen at least some sector performing. But yeah, I don't think that they're doing anything on that front, which is worthy of sort of showcasing to the world, and which is probably getting any sort of traction. Because अगर इतना ही traction होता तो वो जाके दबा के marketing करते वो, right?
Yeah.
And users लेके आते, right? They would have competed with a Claude, they would have competed with any of the LLMs which are out there, right? They would have competed with all that, but I don't think वो है. अगर होता तो पता लग जाता. Like I said, unless or until वो लोग इतना छुप छुप के कर रहे हैं, और इतना ही अगर छुप के कर रहे हो तो पता नहीं क्या ही बिजनेस स्ट्रेटजी है, बिकॉज कंपटीशन तो तुमसे बहुत आगे निकल चुकी है. तो तुम सडनली अगर चद्दर से बाहर निकलोगे और बोलोगे मेरे पास कुछ ऐसा है which can meet all of these things, unless you have something which is so proprietary that it needs to be kept secret, like if you're doing like Palantir level work, so that's probably different. But if you're doing general sort of LLM work, and you've still got nothing to show, then I don't think you've been doing anything at all. So I would put a bet on the fact that abhi at least top 100 mein jitne bhi AI companies, I don't think they're doing anything AI. They're just tokens.
Yeah, I think it's another way around. I think that crypto में AI जो है वो अभी if I were to compare it, I think it's at the 2013 level of Ethereum, right? So when जब ETH 2013-2015 में जब ETH था, nobody really cared कि ETH क्या है. They didn't have the idea कि इसका scale क्या होगा, right? And yes, people had an idea कि यार ये कुछ कर लेंगे, इस पे हम नेटवर्क बना लेंगे, इस पे हम ये कर लेंगे, Bitcoin जैसा है, alternate है. And I think AI in crypto is pretty much like that. So, for example, Render, it's a very valid chain, right? It provides computing power. It has, so you have the basic support system there. We haven't seen any real consumer use of AI on crypto. I agree to that. But to base level, that is getting developed. So you have Tau, right? Bittensor. So they are basically providing like a sub network of intelligence on crypto. So you have these sort of sites.
I am so sorry, but I'm sort of making this into a conversation, but that's my question. Like, what does, so if you're saying that Render is a chain, right? So I get the fact that there's going to be a confluence of agents and blockchain, because agents are not going to use your bank account. Because kal ko agar, like for example, a company will also have agents. So agar mere ko ticket book karna hai, my agent will book it for me, and he'll probably pay the agent of the booking website, right? And they are both going to be interacting. So they need a blockchain. So if they need any blockchain, right, why would they not just use the most obvious blockchain which already has an AI standard? So now that ERC 8004 is basically an agentic AI standard that they are creating, right? तो मुझे ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि उसका वैल्यू कैसे accrue होगा दूसरे चेन्स पे. And now that we're talking about Bittensor, I don't even know what Bittensor does. Like, I mean, what is it that they are doing which is going to have, like I know, like it's hard to ascertain what the potential of AI and blockchain is going to be, right? Because we don't know it's hard to envision a future jahan pe, just like for example 2013, nobody knew that the world will be on blockchain, right? Which is why Ethereum came up in 2013, and today we are seeing the world on ETH, right? Like banks are building, or even for that matter, Solana for that matter, banks are building, everyone's building on ETH. Tomorrow they are saying that agents will effectively transact on your behalf on blockchains, right? But again, why would they choose anything other than ETH? So this is this parable which I'm not being able to understand, which is something that the industry is trying to sort of talk about, but this is something that I don't get. Like, number one, if the agent just needs just another blockchain, so why do we need 100 different blockchains which are catered for AI? Because every blockchain is catered for AI. You don't need to have a special blockchain catered for AI. And if that's the case, I think if, like for example, if I have to choose a blockchain today, right, to build on, I can still have an affinity in terms of community. कि यार मियां मेरे को इसकी community ज़्यादा अच्छी लगती है. AI decision make करेगा only and solely based on data, right? So I think if I ask any agent today, if you were to be on the blockchain, which chain would you use? I think the answer is going to be ETH, because that's where all the value is. It's going to be a very obvious answer for that. मतलब अगर मैं भी chat GPT से भी पूछूंगा, वही मेरे को यही जवाब देगा आज के दिन में. right? And
We
other
don't
than that,
know.
the
We don't
baki,
know how AI works. That's the thing. See, this is from our understanding, right? अभी नहीं पता AI को क्या चाहिए. And as far as networks are concerned, देखो पिछले पहले भी आज yes, ETH has turned out to be the champion at this point in time. But let's say 5 years down the line, or even until the last year, you had multiple chains operating. And again, like not just about the community, it's also because there were so many things that ETH was not offering, and then there were so many chains that were specifically designed for a specific sector. Right now we know ETH has AI standards, yes, but there might be such chains that could be used for a very specific sector. And again, like I said, right now it's still a very early stage for AI and blockchain. I don't think we have done any huge milestones in AI where it's compared when we're talking about crypto at the first stage. There's still a
so
lot of work to do.
basically what you're saying is that 99% of the coins that are there will go extinct in AI. कल को जाके कोई दूसरा token आ सकता है. That's what I'm hearing. Because like I said, none of the tokens do anything AI today. Zero
Those,
AI.
those,
I am saying zero
I agree
AI.
with you. I agree with you. मैंने तो को ये बोला था कि मैं तो शुरू इसी से कह रहा
They are
कि
not
जो
even
crypto
doing
में
any
जितने
research
भी
on
AI
AI.
आए थे, they are absolutely dead. Yes, I agree. But then, like I said, there are certain chains that are working. Yes, बहुत सारी chains है जो काम कर रही है. You know how blockchain works. 5 5 साल 6 6 साल लोग काम करते रहते हैं until they come up with something. So there is thing happening. Build चल रहा है. We'll have to wait and see.
Got
Yeah,
it.
so I get it. So, like I said, agents will require infra, right? Now we can. I know that you're saying that it's difficult to ascertain what that infra is going to be, right? That an agent will need. So why don't we let the agent decide? The agent himself will decide what infra he needs. Like I said, if you ask an agent, and this is proven, if you ask the agent what infra you want to use, the agent says, I want to use it. So how is it that you know better than the
because
agent? You know
because
what I'm
because
saying?
right
Like,
now because right now you have only one infra, right? तो बोल रहा है भाई तेरे को कौन सी ट्रेन पे जाना है, मुझे इसी ट्रेन पे जाना जो ए से बी जाती है. अगर तेरे पास ऑप्शन ही नहीं है दूसरी और तीसरी ट्रेन के, build that infrastructure. I'm saying, and we are still seeing that infrastructure can be built. I'm just saying that let's not believe that ETH is going to be
I
the only
agree.
one
I agree.
solution.
100%, 100%. But like I said, none of the tokens are actually doing any research work on what will an agent need. There is no work. Like I said, I would
Render
have
is doing
completely
that, bro.
considered
Render is doing that.
how. Tell me what render does. I really want to have this conversation. Tell me what render does in 2 lines. And I can tell you, ETH does that better.
Render provides computing power. It
Every
basically
chain
provides
provides
computing power.
So computing power is provided by everything. Everything, even a BTC mining requires computing power. So that is not a novelty.
Requires, it provides the computing power. It's not consuming computing power. It provides computing power. It takes decentralized computer power from every node, and it takes that power and provides it to the AI agent. That's what Render does.
That's decentralized cloud anyway. That's what decentralized cloud computing systems do. They everyone's a node and everyone's providing power and access to everything. So, like I said, there is no like for example, for an agent to run, right? That agent anyway has access to compute power today, which is why the agent is so smart. The agent is not going to act if the agent has to access some sort of other compute power. That compute power already exists, and the access to that compute power is not here on earth. That access to higher compute power is in outer space, which is where Elon Musk is going. Elon Musk is not building a blockchain to solve that problem. He is going outer space, and this is actually a
Yeah,
reality,
yeah,
right?
that's true.
Google is talking about that. So like I said, had any of these companies spoken like that, I would have said, "Ha, research चल रही है." जैसे for example, अगर Chat GPT also today, right, is a research in motion for the past. I think Chat GPT started in 2018. It's a research in motion for the past
Mhm.
8 years that we are using so seamlessly today, and probably a Claude, etc. Right? So Anthropic, etc. None of these buggers are making any sort of movement saying that yeah, अगर वो बोले ना कि like I said, decentralized compute is a theoretical. Everything is decentralized compute by the end of the day. It is hocus pocus. Like I said, crypto companies are doing what crypto companies have done. That decentralized compute बोल के कुछ नहीं होता. Like we know, right? There was something known as decentralized VPN. What the fuck does that
Yeah.
even mean? Every VPN is decentralized. You know what I mean? And you're accessing multiple servers anyway. You're just replacing that server with a distributed hosting. Distributed hosting has existed for the past 8 years. It's not something new. So distributed compute is what we are saying. It has existed for a very, very long time already. Like I said, none of these buggers are actually making any contribution in that
Maybe,
direction. कि भाई पता लगे कुछ तो काम चल
maybe.
रहा है.
Maybe they're not making contribution. Maybe the current buggers are not making contribution, but I still believe there is a
we
lot
are
of
only
scope.
talking. I'm not saying what's going to happen in the.
There
We
is
are
a
just
lot
commenting
of
on
scope.
now.
हाँ मैं तो कमेंट मेरा कमेंट उसकी बात पे था कि in the future what's going to happen, and I believe कि AI and crypto hand in hand they have a very strong future.
100%,
There's going
100%,
to be massive developments that we'll see in the future.
100%,
maybe
100%.
maybe
So
maybe they won't be used. Maybe कोई frontier model नहीं बनेगा, right? कि जो जैसे चैट जीपीटी है, गूगल है, but they can be made कि छोटे customized for, जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं small businesses के लिए, उनके लिए कोई solution वो बनाते रहे, तो that can be a possibility.
हाँ, बट उसमें ब्लॉकचेन का कोई इंटरवेंशन नहीं है. ब्लॉकचेन का इंटरवेंशन, सो ओके, like today data centers are required for AI, right? Nobody is going and saying कि मैं decentralized data centers बना देता हूँ कि AI better perform करेगा. आप compete ही नहीं कर पाओगे data centers के साथ, because a Google's capacity to set up data centers of that level, you will never be able to match it up by aggregating data centers from even 100 of people like us.
True.
So blockchain is that infrastructure, right? So when we're talking about AI and blockchain, AI will use infrastructure like it uses data centers today. And that data center innovation is happening कि यार data center धरती में तो energy इतनी मिलेगी नहीं. Let me take it to outer space.
Storage के
I'll
पास
just
भेजा
use
देगा.
solar there. Exactly. That is innovation. But so, and when it comes to AI, that is what AI will need. AI will simply need a base infrastructure layer. That's it. And that infrastructure layer does not have to be intelligent. It is like a data center. It simply needs a decentralized smart contract environment which has good uptime and which is decentralized, which is actually and truly decentralized. There is nothing more decentralized than ETH today. So much so that validators who are inside are not leaving, and there is a 2 month wait for validators to enter today. There is nothing more deep. So, like I said, you ask an agent what is the infra that you need, the agent will tell you this is the infra that I need to succeed. The agent will succeed. The infra does not have to succeed. The infra just needs to ensure uptime, like data centers. That's it. That's all that matters.
नरकुंडी, मैं तेरे को देखा बीच में तूने
Yes.
सर्वर हिलाया है.
Let's hear Narkundi. पता लगे हम जो इतना बात कर रहे हैं एआई एंड ब्लॉकचेन बुलिश पे, अभी नरकुंडी के कमेंट पे एआई एंड ब्लॉकचेन जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी इन चीजों की.
Narkundi will become the Sarah corner for AI.
ये बता दे.
पता चला AI स्कैम निकला, सब इंडिया में कॉल सेंटर बैठ के ऑपरेट कर लेते वहां से.
हाँ करेक्ट, वही आंसर कर रहे हैं तुम्हारी क्वेरी. तभी लोग सोच रहे ग्रामर मिस्टेक क्यों हो रहा है.
अबे वो एक केस आया भी तो था इस तरह का, कोई एआई सॉफ्टवेयर सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रहा था जिसमें कोडर्स बैठे हुए थे इंडिया में, एंड दे वर बेसिकली कोड पुश कर रहे थे.
आई रिमेंबर दैट.
See, so जो okay, let's take one step back. जो कैपेक्स का क्वेश्चन था कि इतने बिलियंस जो जा रहे हैं, like look at Microsoft stock. 1
शुरू से
month
शुरू
में
करता हूँ.
Microsoft stock is down 14% 1 month में. मेन उन लोग की रिपोर्ट में क्या स्टिक आउट हुआ, ओनली less than 4% of Microsoft 365 users are paying for Copilot Premium, which means that they are losing money on the table and their capex is increasing. At the same time, Google Gemini is catching up. It's already caught up to ChatGPT's users.
Yeah.
So when you say capex is getting burned, it will get burned and that will be reflected in the stock price. If you translate that to, okay, now bring to crypto AI tokens. Let's say कि कुछ हो रहा है, assume कर लो हो रहा है, but जहाँ पे नहीं हो रहा होगा, that token will massively take a hit. And even when you talk about chains, like first of all, chains may there'll be a cleanup. Look at DeFi Llama, there are 300 chains with more than $1 in TPL right now. Do you need 300 chains? So
you only need one.
You need 5, 10, maybe
5. Like how many servers, like how many AWS type service providers do you need? I think only 2 or 3 exist today.
Yeah. So like I will pay for one, AI service. I will prefer to use maybe 2, 3 chains. Maybe you have some chains which focus on RWA or, like Avalanche type, like, private subnet ka diya and, you're not, so usme bhi clean up hone wala. And I think like the token prices jo hain, that's been a reflection ki those chains are not going to survive one cycle. Once that happens, then the question comes ki AI ka kya use hai in these chains, who's doing it better, and kya ho raha hai. I think before that we're just running ahead and seeing ki like kya hoga. It's I don't think it's going to move that fast because like looking at what's been done so far, I mean even if you go on Fetch and ask the question, it just looks like a standard LLM type of response. There's nothing that's extraordinary out of it. And if you have more of a rules-based one, ki ye hai, then do this trade, and then it's not AI agent. It's just putting if-then conditions and making it operate, which is very different from how an autonomous, AI agent would operate in theory. So yeah, I don't think it's happening there. But first, like change cleanup होंगी, उसके बाद फिर होगा कि कौन क्या कर रहा है and उसके ऊपर क्या
Absolutely. And
patients बन रहे हैं.
I have one more
एक
point to
चीज
add. You mentioned subnets, right? You can actually build, like, if an agent were to spin up a subnet, I'd simply spin it up on an L2 already running on ETH, right? You can actually have an L3 which can run on an L2, and the L3, so a subnet is essentially IP restriction, right? And you can essentially have an entire L2 with IP restriction also, right? Because L2 is probably the data layer, the other is probably the network layer, but everything can effectively be built on ETH. I don't see like, so I want to like add on what Narkoti is saying. You don't need these random chains building random things, and the worst part is what the leaders, maybe an ETH or a Solana, etc., are doing. I wouldn't even count Avalanche as a serious chain. Kuch din pehle ye allegations aaye the that I think the founder had exited all his positions through DATs, right? And he had sort of exited the system, right? So you just need a base chain which is supremely decentralized. If an agent has to perform work and he needs a private network for itself, an agent today is equipped, and that's what ERC 8004 is doing. And their entire agentic AI roadmap with Ethereum launched 2 weeks ago allows an agent to spin up an entire network on top of ETH. So an agent can actually deploy an L2 on top of ETH, perform its work only on that L2. And once he's done with it, he's done with it. Right? Simple. Like that's how seamless things are. I don't see so that is what I mean by research, right? So ETH without having the word AI in its roadmap is doing much more for the world of AI and blockchain convergence than these projects which have AI in their header, on their website, in their thumbnail, in their token name. ETH is doing a lot more is what I'm trying to say.
इसके काफी पैसे उड़े थोड़े रिसर्च को मुझे अच्छा लग
That's what
रहा
I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying. Like, I'm zero invested. I'm zero invested. Like, but I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, they are doing a lot.
the whole so just side note, we were having a conversation, it was pretty lively, and then Narkundi started talking, and I suddenly felt a huge surge of sleepiness. Like I almost felt like going back to sleep.
क्या हुआ फैक्ट्स के साथ हिट किया थी
yeah
Actually, bro, it was your tone. It was so dead. Like you were like,
अच्छा
हाँ अभी
anyways
यूएस में सुबह हो रही है
talking about chains that have not done anything flying tulip का ICO चल रहा है
Yeah, great,
and
man. This
and
guy's a
there is
real OG, bro.
and there is 100% downside protection, unlimited upside. How commit your capital and receive FT as a perpetual put option.
When will when
Yeah.
will
And
crypto stop being crypto? When they stop writing stuff like this?
it's never gonna
It's like
happen, bro.
it's like it's like BlackRock coming and saying that, you know what, buy IBIT.
Yeah.
100% downside protection, unlimited percent downside.
It will
This is
never
like
happen.
Michael
Crypto
Saylor
will
talking,
always
dude.
be like this.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
What
This
does
is
it
like
mean
Michael
by
Saylor
like?
talk.
What does this mean by like commit your capital and receive dollar FT as a perpetual put option?
Uh, Very interesting. इसमें थोड़ा I don't want to like just
Yeah.
speak off the cuff, but I think they are using their own token to protect any downside to any. So अगर मैं इसको नाड़े की बात बोलूं, अगर आपने इसमें
Yeah.
कैपिटल डाला, they are
ठीक है.
raising for LP essentially for the perpetual protocol.
Yes.
तो आपने USDC डाला, आपका USDC जो है, जैसा हमने कभी डिस्कस किया in the past in some of our podcasts that उसमें भी हिट आ सकता है if the skew shifts to
Yeah.
one side, जैसा हाइपर लिक्विड में कभी कभी होता है.
Yeah.
आई थिंक ADL उनको मेजर्स ट्रिगर करने पड़ते हैं. यहाँ पे क्या है कि FT is going to be that token which will protect against downside. तो अगर downside होगा तो आपके पास FT will act as a put option.
got
इफेक्टिवली
it.
जितना आपका डाउनसाइड होगा उतना आपको
And
FT मिल जाएगा, तो इसका मतलब FT बिकता रहेगा बाजार में बेसिकली.
so isn't this
आज
like
मैं देख रहा
something
था
like
लाइक वन यूएसडी वन,
आई
अगर
थिंक
आप
सो.
वो वन यूएसडी निकालते हैं 15 FT के अगेंस्ट निकलता है वो, ये इतना कुछ उसमें ऑप्शन था वो कि
हाँ
यू कैन
मतलब
बेसिकली
मैंने
ऐड
पढ़ा
इन
नहीं
वन
है बट
यूएसडीसी एंड पुल आउट 15 FT, ऐसा करके कुछ था.
हाँ मतलब लाइक
so this is like another one of those वो ओम token type scams जो
could be यार, could be. We I
नहीं
haven't sort of dived into it, but ऐसा ही सुनने में तो ऐसा ही लग रहा है जब इस टाइप की चीजें हम बोलते हैं अपने फ्रंट पेज पे विदाउट एनी डिस्क्लेमर. एटलीस्ट डिस्क्लेमर तो डाल दो यार इस पे.
And knowing the fact that it's coming from Andre Coronia,
हाँ
जिसने सोनिक पे पता नहीं कितने इन्वेस्टर्स की बल्ले लगा दिए.
बनाता
भाई
बनाता बढ़िया है ये
uh,
बनाता बढ़िया है प्रोटोकॉल भी अच्छा बनाता है और बनाता भी अच्छा लोगों को दोनों
हाँ,
अच्छा बनाता
he has a good design team यार.
है या
इसकी
And
लॉन्च
a
डेट
good
आई है
and
क्या?
sorry.
हाँ
फ्रंट एंड अच्छे बना लेता है.
ठीक है चलो ये तो मारियो नॉफल तो जंग छिड़वाने में लगा है इज लाइक कि खमेनी जस्ट थ्रेटन्ड यूएस मिलिट्री ऑन ट्विटर यू
इसने ले रखे हैं बड़े सारे पुट ऑप्शन, ऐसा मुझे लग रहा है.
या
बहुत शॉर्ट कर रखा है इसने बाजार को और अभी ये बोल रहा है कि मैं नीचे गिराऊंगा.
और गुड न्यूज माइकल सेलर has acquired more तो कल मैं बात ही कर रहा था कि
Of
was
course.
teasing to buy more today he bought more 168.4 million at 67K तो भाई बढ़िया है
ये
Very
बात
nice
है.
price.
बट ये सब कुछ नया थोड़ी है यार. हमारे इंडिया में हम
Yeah.
सबने हर्षद मेहता का खेल तो 91 में देख लिया हमने. यूएस आज के दिन में देख रही है ये हर्षद मेहता का खेल.
Yeah. ठीक है silver prices dropped 40% from record high of 121.64 हाँ तो ये तो हमने कल देखा ही था कि ईरान है शट डाउन पार्ट ऑफ द स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज फॉर मिलिट्री डील्स तो कल बोल रहे थे कि कर देंगे आज कर ही दिया लाइक पार्ट कर ही दिया उन्होंने UK unemployment rate climbs to 5.2%, highest in 5 years. UK is not like I don't think they're making a comeback anymore. कि थोड़ी दिन में थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्री हो जाएगी ये इनके
आई थिंक
लोगों
दे
के पास
स्टॉप ट्राइंग
लग
नाउ.
ऐसे ही रहेगा bro. लग ऐसे ही
दे
रहेगा.
स्टॉप ट्राइंग.
इनके लोगों के पास जॉब्स नहीं है इकोनॉमी गई है कुछ कर भी नहीं रहे लाइक इट डजंट दे आई डोंट इवन सी सम लाइक काइंड ऑफ अर्जेंसी राइट कि कुछ करेंगे कि चलो ये करते वो करते कुछ नहीं देयर इज नथिंग जस्ट हैपनिंग इन यूके
Yeah.
Adani Group to invest $100 billion to develop sovereign AI data centers in India.
Of course.
क्या
Ethereum,
बात है.
ETH RWA market cap surpasses 15 billion, up 200% year on year. So yes, BTC outflows 4 weeks red. So अगर ये week भी red close होता है, it'll be the largest streak ever, longest streak ever.
Price action में तो it's
Is it?
already been in the longest streak ever, right? It's been like
I
5 months of red.
Yeah. Correct.
Even for ETH, agar ETH is like red this month, so it'll be
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
kind of a longest streak ever. Ripple CEO puts 80% odds on the Clarity Act passing by end of April. I don't think so.
कैसे लगा दिया इसने?
या पॉली मार्केट पे खोल दिया
Yeah.
होगा उसने या 100%.
कैसे लगा दिया?
Federal Reserve to inject 16 billion नहीं हाँ 16 trillion है कि 16 billion है 16 billion into the economy
Billion,
this
भाई.
week. You never know,
ये
man.
who is
कितने
saying
भी
that? Who is saying that? ये whale fund वाला होगा, ये इसी तरह की न्यूज़ डालता है.
नहीं this is the news. इसने डाला है क्या बोलते हैं कि the news is verified.
Okay.
And
Okay.
biggest stock market crash in history is imminent, warns Robert Kiyosaki. ये rich dad poor dad वाला हमेशा कुछ एक ऐसा लेके आता है and like I'm
ये भी
warning you.
बोलता
by
है
the way,
ना.
अभी तूने उसके एक और भी बंदे ने आर्टिकल निकाला था, वो क्या नाम था उसका यार? Forgot.
Ray Dalio.
कि रे डालियो, यस, उसने काफी लंबा आर्टिकल निकाला है कि हाउ वी आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ द करंट इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम.
So रे डालियो तो ठीक है
Yeah.
पर ये रॉबर्ट कियोसाकी और एक वो जो बंदा है जिसका हाईएस्ट आईक्यू है उसके बारे में ये दोनों के रोज पोस्ट आती है कि इसने ये बोला उसने बोला रिच डैड पुअर डैड वाले ने बोला हाईएस्ट आईक्यू वाले ने ये बोला मार्केट क्रैश होने वाली सब जाने वाले हैं.
वो हाईएस्ट आईक्यू वाला तो जो था उसने तो बीटीसी भी लॉन्ग भी किया था. क्या फायदा है सी आईक्यू का?
करेक्ट,
Yeah.
इससे अच्छा तो
So
बेवकूफी बन जाता वो,
Exactly.
पैसे बना लेता.
yeah, the odds of the Republican Party winning the U.S. Senate in midterm elections falls to a new low of 60%. So I think obviously Epstein files is
Are
what.
playing their part.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true.
So yeah, I mean एक थोड़ी सी बात और करनी है कि मुझे मार्केट से बात नहीं करनी यार, सब डूम एंड ग्लूम ही चल रहा है. तो आई थिंक विल एंड टुडे हियर.
Yeah.
Please like, share, subscribe, and leave some comments on. And please, leave some comments for Narkundi how he can be more sort of upbeat and
Enthusiastic.
Upbeat and
enthusiastic.
lively, yeah. Just
Yeah,
enthusiastic
upbeat and
about
lively.
life in general, maybe.
Yeah.
He is
All
little
right. Thank.
enthusiastic today. He shaved and he's little
वो
green
क्या है
today,
वो
so I think he
दिन
is.
में दिन में कहीं डेट पे गया होगा, उसके बाद अभी थोड़ा वो हो गया.
Oh, it
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
14th recently, right? That's why.
Yeah.
Let me hide my collar button.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow
See you
night.
guys.
Good night.
Bye
Adios.
bye.
Adios. Yeah.